Good morning. Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Hi.
Welcome to Hong Kong. So, Fred, you have really led a most remarkable career and journey in sustainability. Um, I'd just like to start with what actually drives you to really pursue sustainability and purpose at the core of everything that you do?
Well, first of all, that's natural. If you're aware your deepest needs as humans to sustain and flourish, and therefore we share the same challenge of sustainability. Of course, this is also in the context of globalization and tech, which is natural, and our deepest wish to be well and happy. And
that
we
is-
cannot be well and happy until the whole life system is well and happy, right? Our family, our business, society, the planet. So realize this is your deepest need for creativity. Then just do it.
Seems that this inner wish for creativity for the betterment of humanity is actually within each and every one of us.
Yeah,
It's just that
natural.
sometimes we're perhaps too busy. We packed our schedules with too much work to realize that. And today's theme is AI for sustainability. So I think most people think they are kind of from different worlds. But do you see them intersecting?
No, I mean, it's everything's holistic, right? Everything is evolving. And evolution is always evolving towards challenges. And earlier you mentioned we're too busy packing things to do because our priority systems are not in place correctly. So we are filled, as we can see in this world, greed. And greed will blind us. As we feel more greed, more we do is really stupid. Sometimes you wonder why we're stupid, being the most intelligent animal on earth. Something to contemplate. What is polluting the world, or the actions of building the world? Is our inner motivation. So are we polluting ourselves, therefore we project in polluting the world? Nowadays, there's a lot of tech people, so quantum science is not new here. The material is just an expression of energy and consciousness dancing together. So I think we need to work on shifting our consciousness so we can create the world we truly are naturally yearning for to create.
Wow, I cannot agree more because, yes. I mean, all these sustainability challenges that we see in the outer world is really a magnified version of all the pollution inside our mind. As you mentioned, the greed, all the animosity, all the ignorance, all the failure to see the interconnectedness of all, which is also why it's just so important to reflect on our motivations, our why. I mean, honestly, when we look at AI, look at technologies, how often do we think of investing in them or applying them for actually social and environmental impact? Oftentimes, I think we are driven by, okay, what sort of financial return we are able to derive. And also perhaps even out of fear, because we are just so worried that if we don't seize these opportunities, we will fall behind. So it's driven more by greed, by fears, rather than what you mentioned, true compassion to alleviate all the suffering in the world. And again, most of this pervasive suffering that we see is perhaps a result of human activities because of the Darwinian model that we have pursued all these years, focusing on just maximization of profits at the expense of future generations, at the expense of underprivileged communities. So again, if we can reflect on our oneness, we will see that ultimately we cannot be happy unless we are truly connected with our own self, our inner self, with others, and also with nature and the world. So this brings me to, now that we have talked about the why, the purpose, what is it that we can do in terms of fostering the kind of knowledge, the skills, all the wisdom that we need to drive this transition forward to a better world. And AI is obviously transforming businesses, transforming lives at an unprecedented rate. So what kinds of transformation have AI been able to drive in your various businesses? I understand you're in logistics, in shipping, in mining, in hospitality, and wellness. So what role does AI play?
Well, first of all, I've attended a lot of conference, and in some conference, the motivation is to create the next unicorn, right? To be a billionaire. So that's one motivation. But making economic sense and approaching in a systemic way is needed, because you cannot sustain in the material world without economic sustainability. But everybody jump on the bandwagon. They have different intent for the creativity. And if the intent is pure, your attention is focused, you probably have a better chance of succeeding. But if you're distracted because you want to be the next unicorn, I think your chances will reduce to be the next unicorn. But to make the whole system work, and I see that entrepreneurship is a big piece, which is in particularly the skills of entrepreneurship is there. So what does entrepreneur's fundamental skills? Entrepreneur is going to create something of a business. And that business is through his integrating of different resources to produce competitive business model. And this business model has to keep evolving so you stay ahead of your competitive game. You don't have to worry about your competitors because now you're driven by fear. You just have to be motivated by your continuous evolution. Now I have to come down to the word of love, because love is an expression of the holistic reality. So we are made to, made as love, but we cannot experience our love alone without a mirror of interacting outside in relationship, which therefore philanthropy, expression of love, is a human need. And by the way, when there's light, there's no darkness. In love, fear dissolves. And that is a pure energy of creation. And therefore, love is a solution. The essence of creativity, the best motivation. All you need to therefore to know about entrepreneurial skills and system. You look at China. The China government is leaving it. They're cluster, but the cluster is a whole supply chain and construction chain. So now the creative people co-create together the whole supply chain, whether it's downstream making a product or making a component, or somebody is doing tech application. And therefore, in an environment of holistic where you have to accumulate this infrastructure of co-creation is very important. Now, this infrastructure in China is a very conscious construction process. It's very different from Silicon Valley. And so I think Hong Kong, global citizens really like it. Have a whole infrastructure for this creation with the best opportunity to win in this game.
I love it. Seriously, I really agree that love can be the single most powerful force driving entrepreneurial success. Because actually I've seen it within my own career as well. So 15 years ago, we launched the first carbon neutral hotel in Hong Kong called iClub. And to help decarbonize our operations, we've been investing in green tech ventures. And what I find is that actually it is possible to do well by doing good, because a lot of these green tech ventures, they are successful and profitable because of the impact they deliver, not in spite of. And in fact, I've seen that entrepreneurs that are driven by genuine motivation, intrinsic motivation to solve a problem that is much bigger than themselves, they are the ones who can persevere through the journey. They are the ones that are able to attract and retain talent and actually make it into true unicorns. Not the ones who are thinking, okay, how am I gonna, be opportunistic and jump on one opportunity to another. And to your point, I think really it's all about co-creation, because all these startups, they don't just need capital from investors. Rather, they rely on a collaborative ecosystem where everyone plays a role. You have the corporates to help identify the pain points and help them achieve the type of commercial scale to drive the transition. And of course, you need investors. We also need philanthropists to give, to provide catalytic capital. So again, it's all about identifying all the leverage points in the ecosystem so that we can collectively drive systemic change for a better future. And we cannot do it alone, because ultimately we have to be united by this love. And now let's talk about how. How can we actually courageously turn all these ideas that we have into actions, like the solutions that we see today at JUMPSTARTER? So many people are very worried about the rise of AI, especially the impact it might have on underprivileged communities or those at the kind of lower bottom of the pyramid. But you seem to see, science and technology innovation as perhaps an opportunity rather than a threat. So how can we actually engage with AI in a socially responsible manner?
Well, AI will happen, and you hear all this news. Everybody will have its AI support system. And we've gone through the last industrialization process, the fourth one, where finally we're succeeding in making machine do the work of production for humanity and beyond. However, at the end of this sustainability, of this industrial revolution era, rise in the well-being happiness era that United Nations are advocating, a new angle about economic paradigm to solve the attitude about production, which they call well-being and happiness economic paradigm. Now that is a long time ago. It's like 2012. But of course, well-being and happiness is something of a myth, so people cannot. So even after so many happiness report, everybody is still figuring what is happiness, true happiness. So that's one. So there is a transition, overlapping of era. When one era finishes job, it doesn't disappear. Like agrarian era does not disappear, we still need it.
True.
But it changes into a new era of setting and context and motivation. And so when you're using AI, it's very important how you use AI. Of course, we know the moment we're using AI to make weaponry and make it more intelligent and other AI to make it allowed to make decisions with unmanned participation. Now we're not using for production, you're producing war.
And that's okay, because light and shadow side of us shows. The whole important thing as this new era comes, hopefully we will find peace. And that is very important. If we found peace inside ourselves, if we found peace outside, I mean, today you can see the leadership. Do they look peaceful? Do they want peace? And of course, there is some big guy out there who is the most unpeaceful person, as I perceive, promoting peace with the method of promoting the peace called more conflict. So, it's not intelligent, but it is happening. So it's very important that we have to wake up and shift our consciousness to humanity. Now when AI comes, it does a production, we only need to work maybe a week, 1 day. We have 6 days to find our own well-being, happiness, to find solution for peace. Because when inner side is peace, you can make no war. Because that's not who you are. That's not who we are. So, anyway, we need the understanding
With a new system, with a theory of change big enough, a context of life, a systemic theory of the journey of life, and a management theory of managing different institution and individual. I took the wisdom of the Chinese tradition and we're applying it. I observed China is applying it. And I wrote this book, which just launched, called Impact Investing for Life Flourishing. It's available in Amazon if you're interested. How the Chinese look at it. I know there's a lot of Westerner. It was very well received when I launched it in Davos.
In Davos, yes. Great.
So, to begin, how do we do it? A journey inside to find out what we really want to do.
So I feel like the AI is really a tool that can accelerate our progress along this journey. But what really matters is our motivation.
Thank you.
So if we let purpose be our moral guide, AI can actually take us there much faster. I feel that AI can actually democratize access to better quality of life across other communities as well, in the form of education, in the form of empowerment and capacity building. I myself, I've been working a lot on AI-driven sustainability education to empower the SMEs, to empower youths with sustainability education and climate science, so that they can be equipped with the tools and the skills to solve today's daunting challenges. Also, AI can be very powerful in energy saving solutions, in optimizing, the way our buildings, our cities can become smarter and greener, and also to come up with new medical inventions, or even offer personalized approach to optimizing wellness. And also, when it comes to measurement, I think AI can really help us collect all the data so that we can better track, monitor, and also report on progress, because without very accurate systematic measurement, it's all about impact washing. So I think AI can really be harnessed for good. And now let's talk about how we can actually prioritize purpose, prioritize raising our consciousness in the midst of all these, rising geopolitical tensions and challenges, economic recession risks, etc. So how do we do it? How do we navigate?
Well, if you're peaceful inside, you see opportunity. If you're peaceful not inside, you see risk. And then you're not peaceful. And you try to promote peace. So the first thing we should do, stay centered. Do more yoga and Tai Chi and meditation. And then observe the world as observer. and not as participants. And then let's see what intuition comes to us, which is the most important for creativity. So that's my suggestion, one, for all of us. The second aspect is I want to put a priority in social innovation. Because ultimately, the economic system change, it has to ground into communities and small units. And when they change, it's like our body cells, 30 to 50 trillion cells will transmute. But all we know about it in evolution biology, you might need 1 or 2% of the cells to accumulate, and voila, the 98% will just tip over. So it is important to work tech in the process and AI in the process into social innovation, grounded on community by community building.
Right, and I believe that AI is actually a great example of just how miraculous the human mind can be in actually achieving breakthroughs. But I also feel that, we have heard of artificial intelligence, but we haven't heard of artificial wisdom, because of love, because of our sense of purpose, we humans can actually be agents of change, and we can actually be the change that we want to see in the world. And I feel that, when we are centered, as Fred suggested, we will see that actually we are at another era whereby impact can actually become a part of every formula that we follow in making business decisions. Because 20 years ago, if a firm doesn't embrace technology, it went obsolete. Now that we are faced with existential challenges, now that we are at this stage of human evolution, it's time to embrace purpose, because that is the key to sustainable success in an organization, and it's also the key to sustainable well-being for each and every one of us. And I believe that if we can truly take a more holistic approach to sustainability, instead of drawing this artificial distinction between personal and planetary wellness, because ultimately the two are so intricately interlinked, we can be able to participate and drive projects and initiatives that can drive triple returns on people, on planet, and profit. So thank you so much, Fred. Do you have any words to leave us with?
Well, we know that endless possibility in creation. So we have to answer our own existential question, and that's a shifting consciousness. Einstein say you need to shift another level of consciousness to change your thinking of solving problem, and it's easy. So finally, I have one gift. Find out who you are and be your possibilities in life. Thank you.